Okay, so next one, how can residents determine which board members voted to approve a budget that requires a property tax increase? Is this information available to the public? And would be helpful to know going into November. Well, one thing, we are not in a board election cycle, so I'll just answer this one. So the board election cycle was in 2017, November 2017, so it won't be again until 2019. It's in odd years, so that's typically the board election cycle. So we are not in a board election cycle. Now, relative to information to the public, here, so I want to show you, this is the second question that we lumped together. I've lived in this district since '02. First thing that got my attention was high school taxes. I'm paying the same as more affluent areas in PA. I'd like to know how you're using this money, why are they so high? And when it comes to election for officials, I'd like to know a lot more about each candidate. So I know we've been explaining a little bit about where some of the money goes to, so hopefully along the way, if there's persons in the audience, you're getting some of these answers. But let's talk a look at comparing taxes across the district. So first off, how do you access information that we make available to our public? If you go to our district website, governormifflinsd.org, there's along the top, one of the headers is called School Board. It's just hover over it, drop down menu. It's meetings and committees, members and committees, agendas and minutes, and policies. So you want to go to agendas and minutes, and if you go to that page, you will get all of our 17, 18, by the date. We meet on the first Monday and the third Monday of each month at 7 p.m. in the Education Center building. So you will see on there that the agendas and the minutes, when they get approved, get posted. What I didn't show at the bottom is that then there's an archive by year. So you'll see 2014, 2015 archive, 15, 16, 16, 17. You click on there, the archive of all the minutes and the agendas are there. So we do provide that information to the public. It's on our district website. The second piece as a resource of information is if you go to departments, and again in the drop-down, see business office, we have a host of different information that's there. We have budget information. Our current 18-19 preliminary budget is on our website, as well as the final budgets all the way back to 09-10, and then our annual financial reports. And I know some of that, if you're not into the whole accounting thing, sometimes some of those are a little hard to understand, which again is kind of why we do a meeting like this, to try to explain a little bit better. But we also archive. Last year we had a town hall, so that is archived in video over there. So some of the questions we're dealing with tonight, we also had some of the same ones last year. So you can go and see, and there's some different questions on there. So it's video segments, you don't have to watch the whole presentation. And like I said earlier, tonight's will be on our website as well, segmented. So we keep as much information on our website as possible. So the question about compared to affluent areas. So these are all 18 Berks County school districts in regards to millage from 17-18, because we're still in the budget process. Things haven't been finalized yet for every school district's millage. So if you take a look, the average millage for this current school year is 28.7. We're at 27.6. And so we are below, the average line is right here. Mifflin is here. So relative and in comparison to the other school districts, Reading has the lowest millage. Boyertown second to that. I bring that up again, that Boyertown is Montgomery County and Berks County. Every county has its own millage formula, and so Montgomery County has a different formula on how they determine millage, but that does factor into that. Then Wilson, Ole Valley, Hamburg, Schuylkill Valley, Twin Valley is similar to Boyertown. Half the district's in Berks, the other half is in Chester County. So they are influenced by a Chester County property value economic market that's in Chester County that is different than Berks County. I think Chester County is the most affluent county in the state of Pennsylvania. And then there's Governor Mifflin. And then you can see through the rest, all the way up the high ones, Exeter, Brandywine, and Antietam. So we are under the average, and I would say middle to low middle of the pack in comparison to the other districts in Berks County. As another comparison, this is the most interesting piece to me. I wish the one gentleman would have left because I think we would have been interested in this. If you are following any of the work of Equity First, it's just equityfirst.org or equityfirst.com. It is an organization that has taken a look at the unfair funding that has existed in the state of Pennsylvania for many years, and how it was finally remedied. Well, not finally. An attempt to remedy a couple years ago of establishing a funding formula. It was in the state of Pennsylvania, I think we were one of 2 or 3 states in the country that was not using a funding formula. So the Basic Ed Fair Funding Commission got together and passed a new formula, but it's only for new money going forward. So let me explain this a little bit. There are 500 school districts in Pennsylvania. In this new funding formula, it takes into account the students that you have. Free reduced, special education, ELL, the relative wealth of your district. There's a whole formula that determines how difficult it is or challenging it is for a school district to educate the student body they have. You know, students in Governor Mifflin may be much different than students in Upper Dublin, as an example, or Conestoga Valley or something like that. So it takes a look at the demographic makeup of the students in the district and establishes what's a fair funding formula. So when they do that and apply that funding formula to all the school districts in the state of Pennsylvania, there are 138 school districts of the 500 that are underfunded by the state of Pennsylvania. So keep in mind that 23% that comes from the state toward us, okay, 138 are underfunded, which means 362 are overfunded by the state of Pennsylvania. 9 Berks County school districts are on this list of underfunded. 9 of the 138. Number 1 school district, the most underfunded school district in the state of Pennsylvania is York School District, followed by Reading. We are on that list as well. And when you take the funding formula and apply it, we are underfunded annually $3.6 million. That's 2.4 mils. That according to the funding formula that was passed, our degree of need, our student demographic, the challenges that we have, we should be getting $3.6 million additional annually from the state of Pennsylvania. Now you say, well, where are you going to get that from? From the 300 and some school districts that are overfunded according to the formula. If you go onto the website, the whole list of 500 school districts are there. I'm not going to point them out, but you'll see school districts in the state of Pennsylvania and the degree of overfunding per pupil that some of the school districts have. So I'm not going to speak factually on this one, so shame on me for pulling back on this. But when I look at the property tax conversation and I hear people struggling, why is it not getting passed in the state of Pennsylvania? Not every school district has a property tax issue. Fair to say? Because of the funding that they may be getting, and they're less reliant on the local property taxes because of what they're getting from the state than other districts are. Last piece with this funding formula, it's only for going forward new money. I think the projection is it's 30 years, somewhere around 30, I think it's around 30 years until it would be remedied or a hold. And that's only for any new money that's added to the basic education formula gets applied to the funding formula. Because in fairness to some of the school districts, I guess, that are overfunded, just can't go out and say, oh, by the way, next year you're going to be short $4 million from the state of Pennsylvania. It's a big Band-Aid rip. But the schools that are underfunded, it's going to take some time until we get a remedy. So that's a piece that I think is really powerful and specific to Governor Mifflin and the experience that we have. Just also as a comparison, So this was a study of Pennsylvania school districts. This is using 15-16 data, looking at the range of students. So there are 93 school districts in Pennsylvania that fall within this enrollment range. So how do we compare? This is what the per pupil to faculty ratio was. This is ours, 13.8. Then they took how many administrators per student, 167 per administrator was the ratio for the 93. We were at 180. Then they took market aid ratio. So that's basically relative wealth. How much money can we draw from our homeowners? We talk about affluence or affluence. This was the ratio, 14 students per staff member. We were at 13.8. And then the ratio you see for administrators, 166 per pupil was the average ratio. We were over that, 180. And then community type, suburban, and the ratios there. So that's another measure when a person was asking about some comparative data. That's a piece I think to point out when we talk about staffing. That makes up such a significant part of our budget. And then lastly, here's our school board. And many of them are here in the audience. Lisa Peterson, Dr. Lisa Peterson. Lisa is a Governor Mifflin graduate, longtime resident in the district. Dawn Plange. Dawn is also a Governor Mifflin graduate, longtime resident, student, both had students graduated. Michelle O'Brien, longtime board member. Mr. Donald Kennedy, here he is. Betsy Adams. Jim Ulrich is the veteran on the board. Jim's been on for 20 plus years. Has had children go through. Jen Murray is a resident educator, has had children in the district and through the district. And Karen Friedlander has children in our school district currently. Dr. Ed Mahalik, who's been on the board a number of years, unfortunately had to step down. And so we do have a vacancy on our board that we have 5 candidates that we'll be interviewing for and filling in the next couple weeks. So that's our school board. I know they're very approachable. They're very involved in the community. So I certainly invite you to get to know them. I know that they often hear feedback from the community and bring it forward to our school board discussions.